Yeah, we had some
Ooh,
we had some flying chicken eggs.
yes.
Ooh,
And yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
we
expensive eggs.
threw away
Yeah.
about 2 dozen onto the road from our fence.
Yeah, our 8-year-old and 5-year-old, but the 8-year-old's really getting into baseball, and we thought that would be a really fun thing to do. He said that it was Willem's idea, the 3-year-old's idea. So
Honestly, that makes it worse. You
Right.
followed the advice of a 4-year-old. What are you doing?
All right, welcome back to another episode of Grow Your Grass Off. We've got a special guest here today. It's my sister. Her name's Amity and her husband, Collin. Welcome to the show, guys. We've got so much to take on here today. I'm super excited because I've been to this site in Idaho. And so it's just a pleasure to bring you guys on. Thanks for being here.
thanks for having us.
Happy to be here.
So I'll give people maybe just a quick background and then we can dive in to some of the details. But there's a property that's, how many acres is it again? Like 5 acres? 3
Yeah.
acres?
Yeah,
5
it's
acres?
like almost 6, but
Okay.
yeah, it's only about 2 acres we can really farm because it's rocky.
Yeah, so it's up in the hills.
Yeah.
Yeah. What we do, like in permaculture, we always try and say, well, these are the resources, the on-site resources that you have.
There you go.
And so yeah, they've got actually a nice watershed, that sort of coalesces through their property. So it's got extra water, which is fun. And then it's kind of in what would you call it, the plateau area, kind of arid climate overall, but then it's got long kind of cold winters. So we're just near Pocatello, Idaho. So it's a really fun spot. So what else can you guys add? What else do you want to bring, as far as your background and how you came across this place and what's there?
Well, as far as coming across the place, I've been watching it for a long time on, all of the various realty websites and things. And I was heartbroken when I saw that it got sold. And, I just kept searching for properties and things, just like everybody else. You're trying to find these great properties, and the really great ones usually don't have a home on them. This one did. And so we were looking for a bunch of other things, couldn't really find anything. And it opened back up again. So we jumped on it, and I told Amity there's a house I probably liked. This house is like 650 square feet, and it burned down partially. And like the guy who fixed it did like a not such a great job, do it yourself or Home Depot type stuff. Anyway, so I wasn't sure she was going to go for it. And she showed up and ran up the hill to the creek and was like, "This is it. I want it." I'm like, "You sure?"
Yep, I was pregnant with Jerome, and he's now 8, and I just knew this was our home.
Yeah. So,
And he's like, "You haven't even looked at the house." I'm like, "I don't need to."
first
got a
winter
roof.
here.
Right?
The first winter here, Jerome, our first son, had heart surgery, and so we had to be really careful. And so we couldn't use our wood stove, and it had baseboard heat when we moved in. And I kid you not, we were spending $350 to $400 a month to heat a 600 square foot house.
We make really practical decisions over here.
Well, I think that's the lesson though, because what I love about it is you guys committed, and it's like, okay, let's go for it. And that's kind of how I've done a lot of things for my life. And you just don't know what you don't know sometimes, and you get in there and you figure it out as you go. And I think if your dream is there and you want to go for it, you have the drive, it's like, okay, let's figure this out. And you can, and for, I think the way that you guys, your method and what you've done, I think so many people could take that, that journey and understand, okay, this is what it takes to get off grid a little bit. Not to say you guys are completely off grid, but you're away from things, you're out there and you're having to rely upon yourself and your skills and get after it and do the best you can and figure out there's just, it's not a cookie cutter situation. So
Mm.
I think a lot of the people, go ahead.
And
Yeah.
when I said harvesting rocks, literally, we were harvesting rocks to try to make beds for our garden. And we were using ancient practices, digging under these huge boulders. And both of us would be on our backs, like taking our legs and pushing these boulders
Logs up.
along the log. It works. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Easter Island, or
No, it's
We
been,
should have been there.
yeah. Well, the last 2 beds I put in, I dug so many rocks out trying to get beds in. I was able to sell $4,000 worth of boulders out of that one spot. And then I dug a pond in our chicken coop. So I had our compost pile up higher. And so I've got a trail of rocks and stuff. So as they eat it, it goes all the way down. And I dug a big hole. So then anyway, at the end of the year, I dug all that hole out, man, and stuck it all out there where all the boulders were. You would not believe the amazing growth. It's incredible, but yeah, so it ain't easy.
yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit more. Because I think that's the curiosity I think a lot of people would have, is what does it really take, to build a homestead? So maybe you guys can address that as you sort of talk about what you have on site. You could talk about the animals, you could talk about the
Sure.
the different garden areas. I've been there. It's a beautiful place,
Yeah.
and kind of what is it that it takes for people who want to know?
Well, I think one of the big things is being able to find the resources locally. The problem that we've had, I'd say the single largest issue for me, is trying to find organic and non-GMO anything. I've closed the entire farm off. I won't bring anything in. I make all my own compost. I make everything. One of the reasons is because of pyrrolid and all of the poisons and herbicides and everything else. The other is that it's just not available in this area. The closest place I could find compost was Nampa, and the only non-GMO organic feed that I can find is also over in the Nampa area. And let's see, it cost me $6.36 to produce a dozen eggs here. I sell them for $6 a dozen. And if I use the feed that I wanted to, it cost me like $9 a dozen. And I'm trying to give people good food, so those are just some of those things, like trying to build stuff up. The resources can be really difficult. So, and then, you get like the chickens, you get into the chickens and you realize that you can't make any money on it. You lose your butt on chicken feed. So yeah, just one of them things.
Yeah. So let's talk about the challenges too, because I think that's something that, I know specifically some of the challenges that you guys have come across, but what are the ones that come to your mind? And then what did you do to kind of get in there to solve those situations?
Mostly well, as far as like the property, it's mostly been the rocks and tons and tons of perennial weeds, with really deep tap roots.
We're talking about thistles, so we invited some people over.
Not just thistles. I've got rumex, like your curly yellow docks. I've got a lot of mallows and dandelions, other things like that. I'm mostly trying to get rid of the thistles and the pokey things for the kids. And I've been putting a lot of carrots in, a lot of dill. What else? Cilantro, coriander. What else? A lot of wildflowers, yarrows, and tons of stuff. Dragon balm, just anything I can, So everywhere I dig out a thistle, I just start dropping seeds. Mm-hmm. And those have all worked really well. Initially, I thought that the tap roots were mainly because of compacted soil, but I think it's more to do with nutrients the further I get into it.
So far, let's just kind of look at it. We got, rocky soil and maybe some erosion happening because the water just runs through. Go ahead, Lana.
I had a question about the rocking. So all of this heavy, do you have machinery skills to move these rocks, or is this just by hand you guys are getting these out of there and getting these I mean, are those skills that you've kind of acquired living there on land as far as any kind of equipment?
Yeah, well, so up until last year, I just used a broad fork and just brawn, and did the best that I could. There's a few giant boulders that were stuck in beds and stuff. So I had to just leave them and work around them. And then we got a excavator last year. So I came in and we had our property, like if it was to flood, all the water would have just come right down onto our house. So I dug it all out around there and leveled it and moved everything away and stuff. So I guess I've gotten quite a bit of backhoe skills at this point, definitely over 100 hours.
Certified.
Yeah.
Right. In fact, we just got a tractor. We had rented the excavator to do some septic work because we were camping in our house, for about, 6 months. We've been camping again for about 6 months because we have more issues with septic tanks. So we're like, okay, our roof just collapsed from the winter storms and the money that we got from insurance won't be enough to cover a new shop. So we're like, all right, tractor, here we go. So that's the most exciting thing. And Collin has not been able to get on it yet because we've been super busy this morning. So he's very excited to get to use a tractor. And then, when we don't need it anymore, because we're all about not using equipment. But when we're done with our projects, then we'll get to sell it or not. Who knows? Maybe we'll need it or I don't know.
Yeah, we're definitely not Charles Downing type of no dig. I mean, I don't know what he would do. I just laugh. I'm like, I've got plenty of phosphorus bound up in the soil. It's just, and rocks.
Hey, but you've turned and made a profit on, just your land by selling those rocks. So
yeah, I actually made more money selling the rocks than I did selling vegetables last year. I know that's saying much.
Right.
Where do you sell the vegetables? Is there a farmer's market? Do you have a little stand?
Yeah, we got a farmer's market. It's tepid at best. I bring home about as many vegetables as I sell. And so I end up throwing a lot away. I'll be honest with you, it's been disheartening to say the least. But I'm not giving up.
Nope.
And there are other avenues. Last week, I knew I wouldn't be able to sell my lettuce. So I decided I was just going to make friends and connections. So I was just giving lettuce away to people and trying to be like, hey, eat this lettuce. It's super fresh. I picked it this morning. It's all organic, telling them to get them the 411 on everything. And
they're like, I already bought it from Costco. And so he's like, oh.
Yeah, I was like, well, take mine and, put it on one burger and on the other one, do the Costco. Come back and tell me next week, what one you like more. So.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, we have a farmer's market, but.
And with this, with the shop waxing, we're thinking, maybe we'll turn that into another greenhouse and then start a little stand because we live on an old highway and it's a beautiful scenic route. There's a lot of people that travel out here. In fact, before we got married, when we were dating, we drive down this road and we're like, oh, wouldn't it be lovely to have a property out here? Because there's a winding river, the Portneuf River, and it's
stunning.
It's beautiful. I've taken pictures and people are like, where are you? I'm like, that's our backyard. Right?
Do a little stand. I've done one in my suburban neighborhood and it's been so successful. I took an old sewing machine holder, like an old antique holder, and it's small. This is a small stand, mind you, I'm in a suburban neighborhood. And then just took out the base of it, and I have a cooler that sits down in it, and it opens up, and then I can set fresh produce up on top, flowers and all kinds of stuff, and my eggs are in the cooler. And it was a fun project. It kept me busy for 2 weeks, and now I'm on to a new project. But it's been fun. I only open it on when I have stuff, but normally Fridays and Saturdays or Saturdays and Sundays. And the last couple days haven't been successful. And my son, who's 8, he's like, I told him, I was just kind of down about it. He's like, don't give up, Mom. I think we need to put a new sign down by the free. It was the cutest thing ever. but it's a great way to get rid of your stuff. And then people that don't buy anything, I just give it to my neighbors, or I put my jam in there. So all kinds of things you can sell. Your bouquets there. Like
Yeah.
There. So
Sure.
your next adventure is building yourself.
Right. Yeah. And that's one thing about the farmers market and stuff too, is it's like this
connection.
Well, yeah, I was going to say it's this wonderful like market where you can just experiment, because at this point I could care less about profits. I'm like, I'm not going to make any money. Yeah. So I'm like, well, let's try this week. Let's try this week. And it's like, it's a lot of fun. We did, we had something that worked really well a couple years ago, which was I'd go out in the woods and I would collect all the wild currants or elderberries and choke cherries. And we made syrup out of that. And then we did natural snow cones.
Oh, that's cool.
And those sold like crazy at the farmer's market, but like
the labor,
the amount of labor.
To process all these things. Oh,
so we realized that for like the $30 we were making, we were like killing ourselves. So
well, you got 2 young boys, you can put them to work sometimes, right? I mean,
sometimes, yeah.
7 years old is kind of the magical age for our family, for helping with harvesting, being motivated. Okay, you get 3 cents every green bean that you pick, or every snap pea that you pick. So it's fun. And then our 8-year-old loves the kale. Like it is. We call him Kale Boy.
You've never seen a kitty.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Kale. It's incredible.
And we are getting Willem on board because he's had this lingering little cough, and we're like, if you want to get better, you got to eat this nutrient dense leafy green. And he's been eating. I'm like, yeah.
Well, talk about that real quick, if you would, because I've got 2 girls and we live in Costa Rica, and we're kind of in a similar lifestyle. I'd say, we're out, they get exposed to walking around and being in nature more than probably most kids. What have you seen from them? What have you seen from, because I know as your background, Amity, in art therapy, you probably see a lot more in terms of the nuances of that whole process. But what have you guys noticed with your kids from being on, having that different lifestyle?
Well, why don't we ask this Kale Boy right here? Come here, Jerome. What do you think about living on the farm and getting to play in the dirt? Like, what do you like about living here?
It's really fun.
Oh. Okay, there you go. What's your favorite thing to eat out of the garden? Come closer. Come over here.
Everything.
Everything? What's something that you like? Here, come over here. Tell them something you like.
Kale.
You like kale? You want to show them how much you love kale? Pick one. Which one do you want? You want to show them? All right.
I got 2.
All right. Is that the one?
You're like my rabbit.
Oh, rabbit.
Yeah.
Kale.
Another thing he loves, the garlic scapes.
Mm-hmm.
So Collin was putting them in little rings. We were thinking about grilling these tomorrow, but just putting them in the sauce or in the pan, and we have to kind of fight over those.
Yeah, we've been eating a lot of watercress too. So we did egg salad sandwiches, and then I did like this homemade chipotle, pepper thing that I threw in there, and with all our eggs, and then stuck just a huge amount of watercress on it. And that kid, just big smile on his face, ate the whole thing.
Wow.
So cool.
Here's the other one. Here's Willem. Willem, what do you like best about the farm? Nothing. Okay. That's typical for almost 5-year-old.
He likes the strawberries.
Do you like the strawberries?
Do you like the
No,
chicken?
not even.
What about the chicken?
Oh, do you like what animal? What's your favorite animal?
Like the
Jerome?
chickens.
You guys got duck eggs too, right?
Ooh.
Yeah. I had 18 ducks last year, and this spring I had 3. So I lost 15 to mostly foxes.
Wow.
But there was so much snow that they were able to just jump over over the fence. So I only have one female left, so I have a duck egg every day.
So they're great for baking.
I've got like 20 little mini call ducks though. That's been like a big success on the farm this year because I've been getting $20 a duckling for them, and I think we made $600-700 off of those. So it's been one of our big successes. I'm super stoked about that. And I love how small they are. They hardly eat any feed and they don't really move out of the pond. So it's like really great. Almost passive income.
How would you guys like explain your situation in terms of balancing? You know, because I think a lot of people get into a homestead and they realize, oh, this is more than I thought. And then they have to figure out how they're going to navigate that, you know. So what's your setup? You know, how do you accomplish it all and get it all done with young kids? You know, because I think that's it's a worthy cause to set out and do it. But, you know, I think you got to eventually you'll get down to the brass tacks of how you're going to accomplish it.
There's a lot of different ways, you know, a lot of divide and conquer, that's for sure. And then
well, I almost had a mental break. I'm a school teacher, and so all of my duties kind of expanded right as we're planting and trying to get everything ready. So I am going to be saying, no, I'm not going to be your ISAT coordinator. And okay, I've got to figure out how to arrange my IEP schedule so that it's not so crazy in the spring. So spring is our craziest time. And then, you know, when I'm off for summer, that's perfect. I just take on the kids and I'm like, have fun, Collin, and we'll help when we can. So.
Yeah, so I've been getting up at between 4 and 5 every morning, and then I weed till like 10:30, 11 in the greenhouses. And then I come out and hit the shade areas, you know, and just different times of day I can work in different areas, you know, basically. And I've got a schedule as far as, you know, every morning I go out to the chickens, check on them, make sure there's no predators, open the laying boxes back up, you know, try to kick all the broody hens out and stuff, feed all the animals, you know, and then just go from there. Mostly weeding. That's like all weeding right now. It's been awesome though. Like, cause it's been so cool around here. So I've been able to split lots of perennials and plant a lot more stuff. It's extended my season, but it has grown a lot of weeds too. So just kind of crazy. Yeah, I think that's probably it. We honestly don't get like really any help. So it's just us. So
Kind of like Groundhog's Day, the same thing every day. I feel like every morning I wake up and I do the same animal chores. Yep. And then you just kind of move around as you go.
Right. And then like halfway through the day, I'll remember that I got to pick the scapes, or like yesterday I picked so many alpine strawberries that I was able to make actual jam out of alpine strawberries. Oh my dude, best jam you've ever had in your life.
It was really good. With the, I don't know, like almost like a raspberry.
It didn't taste. It tasted like you're like, there's no way this is natural. This has got to have like some enhancers in it. It was phenomenal. So yeah, it's just like that.
Canning too. Do you use sugar and pectin, or what do you guys put in there?
What do you use? Give me some. I'll take any jam tips. I'm really into it, and I love doing all that stuff. I've got stuff ready to make some raspberry jam this afternoon, but I go back and forth. I try not to use pectin. I don't know why. It's just kind of fun to just do everything. But yeah, I do sneak some sugar in there. Organic sugar.
Yep, that's what we do too. But
I
it's
like brown sugar. Have you tried brown sugar in there?
No.
Delicious. Put a cup or a half a cup of brown sugar in with your normal sugar. Ooh, and a little bit of vanilla.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
That sounds delicious.
It's like it's stellar. I had to make more. I had to get out my old blackberries that I picked from last summer and make more jam because it sold out at my little stand. So yeah,
Nice.
It's
And
good.
that's good to hear.
Oh, we have, and the wild currants right now are going crazy, and I have a spot right down the road, and they've got my favorite flavor. And anyway, so if we feel like getting some more syrup or jam, we'll see how much we can actually produce. But it's so good.
Yeah, I made syrup too. The blackberry syrup was a little bit more messy, but
Yep. We just made mango jam this week.
ooh,
Oh,
that's even better.
Off, but
That's got to be marmalade. You know, that's not
Not
a
to,
jam.
not to, not to
Yeah,
say.
that sounds delicious. I haven't made that.
what they
I
do.
once I made a strawberry kiwi one once. Don't do that. It's really quite strange.
you think it'd be good, but yeah.
It's so weird.
The best one you ever made was the choke cherry jelly. And the amount of time it took you to create it and the amount of time it took me to consume it, like he's like, Amity.
I'm like, there's hours and hours. Oh well, I love her.
And I still enjoyed it.
Well, what else? Any other things you guys want to touch on in terms of your homestead? Your animals. I know you got a couple of goats, 2 or 3 goats.
Yeah, the
No.
goats. So I do a lot of composting, so I'm always collecting all their manure. I've got rabbit, goats, and chickens, so I mix that all together. With I'll dry stuff, chop and drop it for a week, and then add that. Then go and add your fresh stuff, and then add lots of manure. And I started doing a bunch of small piles as opposed to larger piles, and that seemed to work pretty well. And what else have we been doing?
Well, and yeah, when Collin says if he can't sell something, he throws it away. No, I can't even go places anymore without thinking, look at all this nutrition. And like, sometimes I'm like, I'm just going to take it home, even though it's going to be a couple days old or whatever, So I love that it always gets eaten. Like the chickens will eat anything out there.
Agreed.
Yeah, the goats
Yeah.
are picky.
I was going to say to me, that's a great way to look at it too, because it's like you were saying, you close a lot of those loops. And if you've got issues with grazon or you got other things that, you bring in stuff from outside, not to say we can be fully self-sufficient, but just the idea of learning how to close those loops. And like you were telling me a story the other day about feeding the weeds to the chickens to increase nutrition, in the eggs themselves. So I think not just closing it to close it, but actually enhancing it. I think that's definitely a fun way to look at it.
Mhm.
Right. Amen. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It's just 2 sides of the coin. You can either hate having grasshoppers, or you can wake up really early and go grab hundreds of them to feed your chickens. It's like, what you're gonna do.
And that's 5 cents a piece for any child who makes it successfully to a chicken.
Yeah.
With
Boom.
Yep.
They're banking, dude.
Well, entrepreneurs.
Yeah, their piggy banks must be full, or they're like, not today, Mom.
Well, they've had to drain it a little
Yeah.
bit for some consequences, or like they've had to pay.
Texas.
Yesterday we had an event occur.
Yeah. We had some.
Whew,
We had some flying chicken eggs.
yes.
Ooh.
And yes.
Yeah. They
Expensive
threw
eggs,
away
yeah.
about 2 dozen onto the road from our fence.
Mhm. Yeah, our 8-year-old and 5-year-old, but the 8-year-old's really getting into baseball, and we thought that would be a really fun thing to do. He said that it was Willem's idea, the 4-year-old's idea. So
Honestly, that makes it worse. You
Right.
followed the advice of a 4-year-old. What are you doing?
How much money did he have to pay you?
So consequences are, they will be helping collect all of the eggs so they can see, how long
It takes.
that takes. I mean, it's not a huge job, but every day, that's something. And then we've increased the supervision. So
I love it.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so joyful.
So they will be able to earn back trust, I'm sure, very soon.
Oh yeah, it's fun. We all get it.
Really fun.
Very
Boys are
fun.
Oh, I'm like, what else have you done that we haven't caught you?
Yeah,
doing?
Brandon probably has no idea. Girls don't do that stuff probably. My son was just doing that in the backyard too. He's like,
This is good.
the egg, Mom, and I was like, oh, you did. Can I hit it with the baseball bat? I was like, well, not in the yard, but you can go in the woods. He threw it up. He's like, I missed, and it just like, yep. But the
Okay,
same
we're not
thing.
alone.
He's 8, so there you go.
Okay.
Okay, that's good.
So it might have been your 8-year-old's idea, and he blamed it on the brother. We'll see.
Right.
But yeah,
Very possible there.
kids.
We got to learn somehow, you know, we got to figure it out.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm like, I don't care about the money. So yeah, you owe us $12
Mhm.
and you will be doing chores to, you know, pay for the eggs. But I'm like, but all that nutrition, like that's the sad part. All that hard work.
All
Like,
the hard work.
Yeah, for sure.
yep.
Oh, well,
Oh well.
happens.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, anything else you guys want to finish off with in terms of tips? That'd be great. Like, I think obviously there's a lot you guys have experienced, so there's no way to recap all of that. But just, are there any tips that you could say, broadly speaking, that would help people who might want to start this journey or who are already in there, you know, and what kind of things have you guys?
Call Collin. Like,
Yeah.
It's so funny. We had some people come out, just cute little couple, and thinking that they want to do a homestead, and you know they're kind of testing out some different property, and it was so cute because this girl, she planted the walking paths instead of the beds, and then she pulled out. She was weeding. She pulled out all the fresh raspberry starts, and so I'm like, there are a lot, you know, of skills that you need to be able to go into somebody else's garden. So,
Yeah,
and I'm like, Collin, you have so many skills that you take for granted. And you know, when I went out there, harvested the kale the first time, I killed all of our kale plants. So, anyway, there's been a sharp learning curve for me, and
I would say just start slow, you know, and don't take on too much too quickly. That's one of the mistakes that I've made is, you know, last year I had 300 chickens, and that was great during farmers market when I could sell the eggs. But then all winter, you know, we were losing $500-600 a month in feed, and I couldn't even give the eggs away because the shelters won't take them. So I was literally I was putting ads out on Craigslist and just like, dude, please somebody take these eggs. I couldn't. It's hilarious because we're having this national shortage of eggs. I can't give them away. I got 80 dozen. I finally just gave 80 dozen away, dude, to the shelter, and I had to give them to the volunteers so that they could hand them out to the people at the shelter. If that's not just ridiculous.
A little bit.
And then I would also say that just know right straight out of the board that you'll never be able to compete with the lie of big business. And the lies being the moving of the goalposts of non-GMO or organic or whatever else. And just know for a fact that every chance they have to skirt their morality, taking the higher road, they will do that. And the reason that you're paying less for your eggs or your vegetables is because you're getting a worse product, and one that's not sustainable, and one that's actually killing the planet. And so at the end of the day, you might want to take your grocery list and look at it and see how much you're actually saving, because not only are you killing yourself, but you're killing the planet as well. You know, so I would just say start slow. Baby steps. Don't buy 300 chickens. Buy 3. You know, I have a tendency to just go all full board on stuff, and it has really nipped me in the butt like a bunch of times. So, don't buy goats before you have like a really good enclosure, because then they'll eat 16 fruit trees that cost you between, you know, $75 and $150 a piece. You know, and you're like yelling at goats, but about halfway through it, I was like, well, I'm the idiot. I should be yelling at myself, not goats.
No, that's a great
what
point. Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's everybody has their own journey, and yeah, I mean, I think sometimes we can get stuck with the the idea that we got to get everything ready and prepared and so on. But, you know,
Mhm.
like you said, for what I did initially for myself was to go to farms and learn. And I feel like, not to say you can learn everything, you know, but, you know, if you can, and maybe this is just normal for people back in the day, you know, they just lived on farms and they knew what to expect, you know, and it wasn't, I think we're kind of getting back to that where people are like, okay, let's sort of bring these, you know, corral these ideas, you know, and these skill sets so that it's more common for our kids, you know, and they know they're just around it more, you know. Does that make sense? It's like it's part of their
Mhm.
vocabulary. It's not
Oh,
something
yeah.
that, and to your point about the nutrition and the sustainability piece, I agree. It's different. Like, it's hard for people, like you said, the farmers market, if you're looking at it from the business context, there's people who've done it and been successful and figured out ways to create community and have this value added product or whatever it is they're doing. But in general, it's like, you know, cottage industries is nice, but it's tough. You know, it's like there's a long grind, like you said, of coming up with a plan, executing it, bringing it to market, having perishable goods. Nobody wants them that week. Now what do you do?
Right.
You know, and
Right.
so-
Well, you know, it's interesting because it's like the people that make the least amount of money at the farmers market are the farmers. and so like being like highly ethical and trying to do something to bring healthy food to people, it's kind of disheartening where I'm like, honey, we should just get your really great pumpkin cookie recipe. Homeboy made $3,200 in one farmer's market next to me, and he complained that he had a bad day. And I looked at him, I was like, I made $60, bro. That doesn't even cover my cost of eggs.
Well, one idea just came to mind too, potentially, and you know, this is a model that takes more effort and time too, but a CSA, you know, where you've got a membership and you've got people who committed to that. Because I mean, it's people have been doing that for a while, you know, but I think if you had people passionate about that idea, and they could actually get organized enough to say, okay, we can plan this out, you know, and we don't have to go with just the normal, you know, routine of going to the bigger box store or whatever.
Right. Well, and that's a really good point, because I've gotten pretty frustrated with people saying they want to buy local and they don't buy local. And you know, regardless if they're hypocrites or not, and I'm a hypocrite too, you know, I don't do it all either. But it seems to me is they keep us so busy nowadays that we don't have time to do those things. And whether our heart's in the right place or not, at the end of the day, you're so darn tired, you're just going to stop by the store. And so I'm not blaming anybody. It's like, I like the CSA ideas. I like the ideas of, you know, this roadside stands. The easier that you can make it for those people, you know, to get those products, I think the better that you will do. Because I think at the end of the day, the people really, you know, the customer really wants to help. And like in the winter, you know, I call people and they'd be like, well, it's too far to travel for eggs. Well, that's true. You know, 30-minute drive for eggs is too much. So yeah, we got a real uphill battle. And it's interesting too, like if you really want to scare somebody at a farmer's market, tell them that your eggs are fertilized and watch their eggs pop out, or watch their eyes pop out of their head. So there's like a lot of misinformation out there too, you know, it's hard to combat.
Yeah, well, we commend you guys for giving it a go, you know, and sticking with it. You guys have been at it for 8 years. It seems like you've been doing the homestead journey. And for me, there's a quality of life that even if you guys aren't, you know, going to make a big, you know, impact financially, the impact is multifaceted. I think, you know, we're talking nutrition, your kid's life, the things you're learning, the community that you're building. So I think those are all outputs of the process. So I think it's fun to consider that. And let us know if you get let us know if you happen upon the thread that all of a sudden picks up more steam, because that'd be interesting to know.
Right. But and I tell Collin, I tell you that all the time, that the real riches that you bring to this family, because I know you want to contribute financially. I'm like, I can't get this kind of quality anywhere. And, you know, with our water source, and, you know, there's another organic farmer, but his water source isn't as good. Not even close. So anyway, I feel very rich. I feel like I get to eat like royalty every day. So
Yeah, no, Like there's nothing else I would rather be doing. And it's like, Amity's like, well, what do you want to do? And I'm like, well, what I'm doing, I'd like to be able to maybe make just a little bit of money doing it, because we live pretty skinny some months. You know what I mean? So I'm not like trying to like be, you know, like rule the world or make millions. We have a really funny inside joke. You know, when we come up with a good idea to make money, we're like, we could make hundreds of dollars. You know, corner the market on elderberry jam.
Totally.
So we have fun, you know.
Keep it interesting.
Yep.
Well, you guys, thanks so much for being here. I think it's just fantastic to see the evolution of the property, you know, and see how well you guys have been able to pick it up and carry that ball forward, because it's such there's a lot of challenges like we talked about, but the outcome in the end to me is such a rewarding way to live. So thanks for being on the show today.
I'm super excited for you to see the video, buddy.
Yeah, definitely. We need to loop in.
It's the journey. And we were talking, Collin has so many good ideas. So we're like, you know what? Scatter freely. This is a quote from Rabindranath Tagore, like, scatter freely the treasure you gather as you go. So there we go.
Right.
Like we're here to educate people. We're going to do a nonprofit and forget what we were trying to do.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So one more thing, funny story. So I was like, I know I won't be able to sell my lettuce, right? Because I never can. I just like, whatever. So I'm like, I'm just gonna give it away. And dude, you would not believe, like, I was giving away all this lettuce and people were just handing me money. I swear I probably paid more money trying to give my lettuce away. So
There you go.
right? I was like,
Change the
wow, that's cool.
Yeah, you came from a different angle. It's not the sales.
Right,
angle.
yes. No, that's exactly what I thought too. You know, it's like, at the end of the day, what I really want to do is just help people and give them an option of having healthy food, and hopefully that makes them feel better, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
Thanks, guys. Well,
Yeah, thank you. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Nice to meet
you all.